When you're going to apply for a job, most companies are going to want you to fill out a job application. And this is a workshop to help you build your skills on filling out job applications and help you to be prepared when you go to answer the questions that are going to be on the job application. There are three specific areas that I want to focus on. The first would be why and how employees use job applications. Well, it'll explain why companies use applications. We'll talk about that. The second would be common mistakes and tips to avoid. There are certain mistakes that I see all the time um, that could be easily avoided. The third thing would be red flags. That would be anything that the company looks at and sees is very peculiar on your job application. That'd be one thing that would be called a red flag. If you have a red flag on your application, the probability of you successfully obtaining that job would be pretty low. When companies are hiring new people, they have tendencies of things that they look for. Some of these tendencies would be your experience. Sometimes you might not have enough experience or you lack the skills for that job. It also might depend on your work ethic. If it's poor, it's not going to be good. If you have a strong work ethic, it'll obviously be better. Other things that they're going to look at for is dishonesty or theft as well. They're going to look at your attendance record and see if you have a lot of attendances or absences or tardies. If you have personal problems that keep coming up, that's going to be one thing. Or if you have a lawsuit against you, a company is going to be very cautious to hire you. So if you have any of these things, you might want to be very careful. And if you don't, it's going to be one thing that you should try to avoid. When companies are reading your job application, it's like their first impression to meet you. If they see something on your job application that doesn't line up with the jobs that they have, they're most likely just going to throw it out. However, if they read it and it seems like a good fit, they'll save it for later. Now understand that the job application is going to be very different than your resume. A lot of the information is identical and most of them will have the same questions. On the job application, you're going to end up signing it on the bottom. You're going to fill out the information that they ask for and then sign it and give it back and give it to them. That company is going to consider that document, the job application, as a legal document. And if you lie or you're dishonest about it, it's a possibility that you could lose your job over it if the truth is revealed. Now, why is it that companies use job applications? And there are a couple different reasons why they do that. Job applications are going to be used to collect information about the applicants. And some companies want to collect data based on your skills and your work experience. It's also a first impression that they get to meet before they actually get to meet you in person. It's a way for a company to check out legal information about you as well, such as maybe a background. It's also a way to gather information before they receive your resume as well. It's also an easier way to save time for the company and not waste their time with unqualified applicants. Now, there are different ways that companies screen applicants. One of the first things that they're going to see is how neat you are. If you missed anything, if they were able to understand it, and if all the information is accurate. The company is also going to look at any previous work experience that you've had that's going to be related to the job that you're applying for. It's going to show what skills you have and what experience that you have to match for the new job. Also, the company is going to be looking for anything that's peculiar on your application. And if anything pops up, such as a red flag, then it's going to be harmful. Any red flag could be such as being fired, um, a gap in work experience or work history without explanation. Maybe you were in jail. Anything like that could be known as a red flag. Also, job hunting or job hopping. All of those things would be considered red flags. It would be how a company screens their applicants. There are 10 things that I most commonly see that are mistakes. The first would be on the job application, not following the directions on it, not explaining what they're asking for. Another one would be writing illegibly to where it makes it very difficult or even impossible to read. Another one would be leaving information blank that they asked for and not answering. Or if you were to turn the application paper in and it was messy and crinkled. Another thing that companies are going to look for is spelling errors on the application. Another mistake that I see often is when applicants leave the job title that they're looking for blank. If their work experience is missing certain parts of it. Another thing you want to avoid as well is if there's a large gap in the work history without an explanation. Another thing that I see often is when applicants turn in their application after the deadline. And lastly would be turning in the application without signing it. That's a big no-no. So these are some of the more common things that I see. Now I'm going to give you some ways that you can improve your application. When you're filling out a job application, the first thing is that you should always be honest with your answers. The second thing, you're going to want to always write in blue or black ink. It's okay if it can be erased. Another good idea to put to use would be to have all the information ready, such as like maybe a fact sheet. It'll make it easier to transfer onto the application. Make sure that you write clearly, that it's easily understood. Avoiding cursive writing could be a great benefit for this as well.